I want to segue into the Republican derangement about secret societies in the deep state, because that ties into all of this. That ties into this Russia investigation. That ties into Mueller wanting to, in the very near future, interview Donald Trump about this investigation. And so you have this wild conspiracy theory that's being perpetuated all over Fox News, okay, in the House of Representatives, amongst House Republicans, and even one Senate Republican, okay, Ron Johnson, he's on this bandwagon too. You see this all over YouTube and all over, like, the alt-light. All of these people are pushing this deep state conspiracy theory of that there's somehow some sort of coup being manufactured within the DOJ and within the FBI among Obama and Clinton loyalists, okay, but to bring down Donald Trump. And I cannot express to you, ladies and gentlemen, my black and intellectual family, I cannot express to you guys how dangerous this is. And how they're using this they're calling the Russian investigation fake news. No, this is the fake news. The secret societies in the deep state conspiracy theory, that's the fake news. They're already getting their conspiracy created. They're already creating their conspiracy for when Mueller perhaps brings down Trump and brings charges against Trump and other former and current members of the Trump administration because of whatever he finds, whether it's collusion or whether it's these dealings with Russian oligarchs, whatever the case may be. They're already getting their lie together, guys. They're doing it in plain sight. Okay, so major right-wing Republican voices are pushing this conspiracy theory, such as Trey Gowdy and Senator Ron Johnson, like I mentioned earlier, but it's also Lou Dobbs, and it's also a bunch of these sycophants and crazy people on Fox News. And I want to read a part of this this article from the New York Times, or not the New York Times, the Huffington Post. Well, actually, no. Before I get to that, let me go over the memo, because this secret society and deep state conspiracy theory is really broken down into two parts. There's a memo and there's a group of text messages between former members of the FBI. So you have Devin Nunes, or it's really Nunez, but he writes it Nunes to make it sound more Europeanized, because he wants to take out that that twang, so he says Nunes. But he's ginned up this 4-page memo. And this 4-page memo is at the center of this conspiracy theory. And Devin Nunes himself wrote this. He wrote the memo. And honestly, check this out. It's not even an investigation. So this is not like something where there was this investigation, this long, deep, months-long investigation into, some sort of conspiracy. No, this is just a memo that Devin Nunes wrote. And we know Devin Nunes is a loyal Trump supporter. Devin Nunes, we know, is in the pocket of the Trump administration. Okay, so this memo alleges that there's essentially a conspiracy within the FBI and the DOJ to target Trump over the Russia investigation. You had a bunch of these House Republicans all over Fox News making wild accusations that have not been proven, based on a memo no one has seen, not even Senate Republicans, and certainly not Democrats. So the Democrats have been completely cut out of the loop. Okay, the Democrats, the Democrats are just lost for all intents and purposes, as they should be, because this is make-believe. This is mythology. Okay, so after Nunes came out with this memo, and he was going around saying, well, I don't know if he specifically was saying it, but people within the House of Representatives were going around, all over television, like, because Fox News was talking about this for days, wall-to-wall coverage. In the midst of that, you had some Russian bots, you had some Russian bots that started pushing the release the memo hashtag on Twitter. Because the memo got started. I mean, not the memo. The trending topic on Twitter got started because they said, yeah, let's release this memo because in their eyes, they're thinking they thought it would bring down the Russia investigation. They thought it would expose the Russia investigation for being what it's really about. So release the memo. It's a conspiracy. It's a deep state conspiracy. Blah 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 blah. So that got started because of some Russian bots, according to reports, and this is what Dianne Feinstein and some other Democrats are claiming. At the end of the day, Republicans control all levels of government. To have this release, this secret memo that nobody has seen but a handful of people, so they can spread conspiracy theories in the public, they control all levels of government. So House Republicans have the majority on the House Intelligence Committee. Okay, they have the majority, so they can be like, yeah, let's go ahead and release this memo. Then Trump, they could send the memo to Trump, and Trump would have, I think, like 5 days to authorize the memo's release. Okay, so if this were true, let's think about this for a second, y'all. If this deep state conspiracy theory were true, why do we not see it? Why do we not? Where's this memo at? Where is this memo that proves the conspiracy? If the conspiracy is real, let's see it. If there's really a deep state conspiracy, and Ron Johnson is running around all over CNN talking about he has these informants, he has these secret informants. Like, if this is all real, if this is not make-believe, then yeah, release the memo. I want to see it. Let's stop playing games. Let's put all our cards on the table. In reality, Black and Intellectual family, you guys know, anybody who listens to me, you guys are already smart. Like, you guys know shit. People who listen to me know stuff already. So you guys are already in the loop. You guys already know what I'm about to say. There is no damn memo. Well, no, there is a memo, but there is no conspiracy. That's what I meant to say. There is no conspiracy. There is no deep state, top secret, clandestine, Illuminati, Bilderberger, foaming at the mouth Alex Jones conspiracy theory or conspiracy within the FBI and the DOJ to bring down Trump. That is baloney. That is baloney, and we all know it is. Okay? Because if this were real, then they would release it. If this were really happening, we would all see the evidence. But that's not what's happening, y'all. Fox News, over the past couple days, they've actually dropped the story. Surprise! like Dave Chappelle. Surprise! Like they've dropped the story. They're not talking about it anymore. Okay? Ron Johnson, now here's the thing. Ron Johnson that was a side of the conspiracy that involves the memo. Then there's the other side of the conspiracy that involves text messages between two former FBI employees. One of them, I think, was like a lawyer or something, and another one was like a field agent or something like that. But after Trump was elected, they were on the investigating team. And the text messages, what the Republicans are not telling you is that the text messages show that, they didn't like not only did they not like Trump, but they didn't like Bernie Sanders either. They didn't like Sanders. They don't mention that because that shows that, because what they want to try to do, they only want to tell you about, these agents not liking Trump, because that fuels the conspiracy theory that there's an agenda against Trump. When you add in Bernie Sanders, when you add in that these agents who were communicating through text message, when you add in the fact that they also didn't like Bernie Sanders, all of a sudden this whole notion that there's a political agenda against Trump gets blown out of the water, because politically speaking, Bernie Sanders is nothing like Donald Trump. Okay, but they didn't like Bernie Sanders either. And FBI agents, they're allowed to have their political opinions. I'm not gonna sit here and say that they can't have political ideas. They have political jobs. So who would expect them to not have political ideas? The question is that actually biasing the investigation? And no, it's not in this case, because now, I'm going off on a tangent. Let me actually go back to the actual text messages themselves, because within the text messages, they mentioned a secret society. Now, let me pull up the Huffington Post, because this whole thing was a joke. Okay, and even Ron Johnson has come out recently and said, yeah, they were probably just joking. So, let me just read a few paragraphs from the Huffington Post. I have a link in the description box on the YouTube live stream of this live stream. So, if you want to read along, there it is. Just click on the link on YouTube. So it says, it was hours after Donald Trump became president-elect, and two FBI officials, like many of their fellow citizens, were flabbergasted. Peter, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, Peter S., that's just what I'm going to call him, and Lisa Page, both of whom had worked on the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails, which the former Secretary of State would later blame for her loss, were worried about the future of their country and their agency. One text that Page sent Peter S. early on in the morning on November 9th, 2016, has dominated the conservative media world this week, serving as a springboard for a Republican conspiracy theory suggesting that the nation's premier law enforcement organization was plotting a coup against Trump within hours of his stunning victory. It says, quote, "Are you even going to give out your calendars? Question mark. Seems kind of depressing." Page, a former FBI lawyer, wrote in the text to Peter S. from her FBI-issued phone. And then it says, quote, "Maybe it should just be the first meeting of the secret society," end quote. That's all that said. Republican lawmakers, and this is continuing on in the article, Republican lawmakers seized upon the, quote, secret society reference this week, claiming to see sinister motives, and it started popping up all over cable news stations. But in fact, it was almost certainly a joke, a bit of gallows humor after an election that featured Russian interference. And it turns out, and this is me talking, I'm not reading the article anymore. It turns out that the calendars that they were referencing were unflattering calendars with pictures of Vladimir Putin, and they were going to be passed around as jokes to different people who were on the investigation. And for whatever reason, they said, maybe this should be the first meeting of the secret society. Ha 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 ha. It was not literal. It was not meant to be taken literal. Okay, and it's certainly not proof that what's certainly not being said is, hey, let's get the secret society together to plot against Trump. That's not what's being said. They were referencing calendars that had something to do with Putin. Okay, it had nothing to do with plotting against Trump, but that didn't stop Ron Johnson and the aforementioned Trey Gowdy from running around on television claiming that there's a deep state conspiracy against Trump. So they've taken this gag, this joke, and they've completely blown it out of proportion. And like I said, they're using this ultimately because I think they know Trump is about to go down. So they're getting they're getting their lie together. Okay, I mean that's clear as day. So this is pretty crazy. Now, Ron Johnson backed off. You know, Ron Johnson later on went on CNN, and he didn't mention at first he mentioned an informant the first time he went on television. He's no longer talking about an informant, like I said earlier, because there is no informant. Okay, and he's even conceding that it might have been a joke. He said it was, quote, a real possibility that it's a joke. So even one of the main people in the Senate pushing this conspiracy theory is now backtracking off of the conspiracy theory. Okay, so this is before I end both of these stories about, you know, the attempt to fire Mueller back in June and all of this stuff about deep states and secret societies and stuff. Before I end this, I want to just say that this is actually a legit threat to democracy and the rule of law in the United States. Okay, this is not a joke. Like, you have people literally foaming at the mouth saying that Mueller needs to be fired, all of these people need to be investigated, people need to be jailed. They're saying that there's a coup. Alex Jones was like, his head was exploding. Like, that dude is insane. He's crazy. He's a crazy person. He was literally saying that, like, they were gonna try to bomb him. Somebody needs to get Trump in a bunker because they might try to bomb him. Like, what the hell is this dude talking about? Like, this has been completely blown out of proportion, and people are taking a joke about something that and something else. They're saying because there's something else about those text messages. One of the texts said that there's no there about the Russia investigation. So people are using that to try to say, well, look, you had some people who didn't necessarily believe in the Russia investigation who were fired by Comey or Mueller. They were fired by one of them. So you see that's proof. That's more proof that, you know, there's a conspiracy against Trump, because the two people who didn't believe that there was Russian collusion were let go. So whatever, like that's their talking point. I'm more concerned about how this is being used within the right-wing media and how dangerous it is. So just be mindful of everything that's going on right now. And one last thing. Let's talk about the right-wing hypocrisy around police and law enforcement. There is silence, absolute silence, among the Trump base as he bashes the FBI. These are the same people who go on and on about law and order, okay, about respecting the police and respecting the flag, and why are you kneeling? You know, you're disrespecting the troops, you're disrespecting cops. Yet and still, Trump attacks the FBI all the time. He has consistently called the FBI's allegiance into question. He has fired Comey. He wanted to fire Mueller, and I just find the hypocrisy stunning. The ability for these people to not see how full of you know what they are is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. They will literally bash Colin Kaepernick, bash Michael Bennett, and other members of the NFL for taking a knee because they are protesting state violence and police brutality, and they're trying to shed a light on that stuff. And then they will turn around and co-sign the bashing of the largest and most important police organization law enforcement organization in the country, and they see no problem with that. They see no problem with that. Like these people are mental. I watch this stuff sometimes, and I follow these stories, and I'm like, do these people not know how full of crap they are? Like, I don't think they care. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say about that. Like that's extreme hypocrisy. That is hypocrisy on a level of delusion. That is why I call these people sycophants. There's a reason I say that. You have to be you have to be mental on another level to just not see the contradictions in your belief system. So, you know, Republicans and Trump supporters and the entire right wing in this country, they are cheering and going along with Trump's bashing of the FBI. They're all on board with that. They see no problem with that. And then they will turn around and say all types of negative things about black activists and people who protest police brutality. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. Like, that's yeah, that's just crazy. Like, I'm honestly at a loss for words. I'm having a hard time describing how loopy that is. But I'm just gonna continue. That's all I have to say about those two stories, about the Russia story and Mueller and all of this talk about secret societies and the deep state hustle. That's what people should call it. The deep state hustle.